We are live. I am joined by Justina Knight, the GM of the Hyenas. But before we get started, I want to talk about this league, UFF Sports. It's the world's first fantasy sports ecosystem, offering ownership of franchises and players, digital NFT assets. It's really the first fantasy basketball ever on the blockchain. So UFBA is the first virtual professional basketball fantasy league on the blockchain. Actual players can have their NIL bought and be paid while performing in the league. It's the first fantasy league that pays the players. You can be involved in a variety of ways: a fan, a scout of a team, a staff member, becoming one of the owners. You just go to uffsports.com. So that being said, Justina Knight, like I said, the GM of the Hyenas, before I get into questions with you, I am so intrigued with being ahead of the curve, early adapters, because it's so easy to see something that's already established and say, oh, I like this. But it takes a certain someone to analyze, dig deep, and be like, this is going to be something really special. And that has this written all over it. So before we get started, I want you to talk to me about your relationship with Rashad Phillip, the owner of the Hyenas. You have him, you have Perkins, but you're the GM of it. So can you just take me through your relationship with Rashad Phillips?
Our relationship is very cut and forward. I am the president of his scouting team. So we deal with both men's, women's athletes on all levels, and we pick those players and show them to the world, show them what they can do, what they're capable of, and hopefully men of athlete and partnership as we watch them throughout their careers.
Right. Now, how does that relationship help with your GM and ownership relationship in this league that you've already, so you have this established relationship with him that kind of goes hand in hand with what you have then, right?
I'll say this, Max. In any league, a CEO has to trust the responsibilities of the GM they appoint. So for years, me and Rashad have established a connection that he trusts my eyes and my confidence to exemplify that in all operational decisions. The same approach we use with student athletes is the same approach we'll use with the professionals.
Okay. See, now I'm a kid in the candy shop because I love this stuff. And the fact that fantasy already grabs so many eyes, like people are so involved with fantasy sports. And now that you're adding this element where the players can actually get paid, it's the first one on the blockchain. It's interesting. So I feel like it's another magnitude of fantasy. Like, this is very serious. This isn't something that's just fun. It's also very serious. It's beneficial. It really requires a true basketball mind. So what's your daily routine as a GM of a fantasy team?
2 words: long-term versus short-term strategic planning. And I'll say this, Max. We have to strike early on player selections and fill in the gaps. I'm going off what Sports Talk 2319 is known for. Find the deficiencies, create a balance among our draft team, and address the shortcomings.
Okay, Tina, you've done your homework. I can tell you've done your homework. So I'm really intrigued by this. I've seen the setup. I've seen Shad was posting a lot of like the meetings that they were having, the virtual meetings. It just feels so futuristic, and it just seems like the future happening right now. And I just see the trend only going up. So let me ask you this. Does that title help you sharpen your skills for overall scouting the game?
Well, I'm not going to toot my own horn, Max, but it's a plus for me. I have studied and acquired the skill of players at all levels. It does keep me on my toes, don't get me wrong, because your selections must directly affect the game. So when they affect the game, you have to make sure that those same players and their skill sets, they balance off each other. So that's how I look at the game. That's how I look at it from a fantasy standpoint, because when you get those dibs, you got to go right, strike right at it. That's it. Ain't nothing more, nothing less to it. And of course, long-term, short-term, so you got to look around and boom, you have it.
Right. And now those were the main things that I wanted to address with you. But do you truly believe like this is the future of sports? And I think it's a really another way to get people involved in consuming sports. Like you see how Netflix kind of disrupted cable and podcasting is disrupting like TV networks. I think this fantasy is a disruptor, but a really good disruptor because it's unique. It benefits the athletes. It benefits people involved. Do you believe this is the future of sports entertainment?
Right. And then it gives us that hands-on approach. When social media started, we didn't know nothing about celebrities, nothing about their daily lives, no nothing. As soon as social media popped up, boom, we were able to get that connection. So fantasy, UFF Sports is going to be able to give us that. The Hyenas are going to show you what we can do.
I'm so excited, Tina. I'm telling you, I'm so excited. So I don't want to take too much of your time, but for those tuning in, for those that want to see your scouting material to you being as a GM of the Hyenas, where can people find you? Where are you available at? You know, the more success you have, the more haters you're going to have. So where can people send angry mail at you? All the above.
Well, of course, I'm on Twitter. I like to communicate directly with the coaches, the trainers, and the players itself. So right now, I only have a Twitter account, which is hoopanalysis_35. You can also transfer over to my other page where I do full analysis on college players, on all players that commit at Hoop Vows. So hoopanalysis_35 and Hoop Vows on Twitter. That's where you can find me at.
And the Hyenas is at the HYENASEAT. I know you have the draft upcoming this Friday, so there's going to be a lot of entertaining stuff happening. So Justina Knight, thank you for joining me. Before I let you go, it was only right. I have to pick your brain on this a little bit. The NBA season, you know, I have tons of analogies and theories and whatnot, but I don't even want to dive too much into my theories. I want to dive into yours. Last year's storyline, I believe, was health. I think the healthiest team, the most durable team ended up prevailing. Obviously, Giannis, the Bucks, not to take away from him. It's a credit.
Right.
What do you think the storyline going into this next season will be? Because we have super teams, we have older teams, we have arguably the best player in the league right now is Giannis. Now the rankings say it's KD. Is there one thing in particular you would tell people, my audience listening, to look out for this upcoming season?
Balance. The thing about winning championships is you have to have balance. Besides health now, but they're going to have to find ways to accumulate all that talent. Lakers have Westbrook, AD, LeBron, DeAndre Jordan, still got Rondo. How are you going to use those players? Now we switch over to the Nets. We got James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Paul Millsap, LaMarcus Aldridge. We have KD. We have all of those. How can you all find balance? What sets that you all will use so that way everybody can still get theirs, because they're going to still be looking for those contracts and stuff as in the next following year. So this year is which coach and which team will be able to find balance.
Awesome. No, I couldn't agree more. So for those listening, please follow Justina. You post so much great content. Like you said, just scouting the game, your NBA content, to now the GM of the Hyenas. So I truly appreciate you, Justina. They know where to find you, and good luck on the draft.
Let's get it.